A group of strong extraterrestrial species known as the Galactic Council has long scorned for Earth and viewed humanity as a minor, unsophisticated race. It has only increased, and they now think they've discovered the ideal method to demonstrate their superiority by carrying out human children in a live broadcast. The show is about more than just death. The Council thinks that with Earth's government split and helpless, humanity's soul will be broken. Demonstrate the universe's helplessness and weakness as the broadcast date approaches. A number of alien species are tense in the Council chamber's atmosphere. A group of grotesque and uncannily human-like people assemble to see the Council. Members who openly insult humans now publicly disgust them with contempt. Shackled and unblinking, the children who were handpicked for their fragility are paraded before the Council. The Council chuckles and revels in the weird, quiet defiance, mixed with pale faces of terror. Their strength, they are aware that the display will severely lower Earth's morale, disseminating the choice to carry out the execution not just around the galaxy, but to every region where humanity inhabits. Since children were not taken lightly, a ruthless strategist on the Council suggests that the execution be made public if humans are unable to defend, not only as a kind of punishment, but also as a warning to the rest of the galaxy. He contends that these kids stand for everything, and they pose no threat to their own. The Council agrees on the future, the date, and the innocence and hope that Earth holds dear is set on Earth. And when the news is announced, nations panic and rush to create a response. But they are aware that they have little choice because the political environment is divided and nobody can agree on the best course of action. While some choose to negotiate or get ready for war, yet in their hearts, everyone is aware that no nation on Earth could oppose the execution because the Galactic Council is too strong. Although it appears inevitable, Earth's last hope is growing in the shadows. Strength, the most prestigious military unit on SAS Earth, has been informed about the track. No one has ever penetrated a galactic stronghold, so they are aware of the risks. They made it through the strategy, which is to simply interrupt the Council's proceedings in the middle of the broast, and free thousands of lives depend on the children's success. Therefore, failure is not an option. The veteran agent selected for this operation is among the greatest that humanity has to offer. His name is secret, his identity is unknown, but he is renowned for having been trained in the terraforming Hogwash Fang. In the Hogwash Fang, he has encountered innumerable adversaries in Earth's battlefields, using his deadliest combat and stealth skills. But this assignment is... The stakes are bigger than ever before, since the Council's armies are unlike anything Earth has ever seen. As the Operative gets ready for the mission, he is fully conscious of how serious the task is. The murders of the children serve as a symbol of Apocalypse Prime. If he fails, not only will humanity perish, but Earth will also be destroyed. Labeled as a dying race that cannot defend itself and cannot resist the opportunity, the agent is instructed to enter the heavily guarded stronghold of the Galactic Council, silence the broadcast, and save the kids. He must be quick, effective, and unknown. With extraterrestrial soldiers scouting every square inch of the station, the Council is a well-oiled machine. The agent has no space for doubt or error on his path to success, since he is aware that even one mistake could spell failure. The operator gets ready for the impossible in the alien stronghold because the aliens have advanced technology. Base partner. If he were put in charge of their mission to create safe spacecraft for these people, superior to all that humanity possesses, yet they also undervalue human inventiveness. He examines the blueprints of Earth's elite military, who have always been able to adapt, learn, and improvise. The base learning the layout, security systems, and patrol patterns. Every detail is ingrained in his memory, and he is aware that his capacity to adjust quickly will determine his level of success. Tension rises as the Council space station approaches, and the kids are already being prepared for their terrible destiny with. The Operative feels the weight of his mission bearing down on him every second, knowing that the clock is running out. If he fails, the goal is to demonstrate humanity's tenacity, not only to save a few kids. Won't only be his life gone, but the Council will have one as a warning to the galaxy that Earth is not worth rescuing. The situation inside the station is terrible. The kids are sequestered in a hiding spot. In preparation for their execution, the Council's broadcast crews have already built up a security cell. The atmosphere is tense as they get ready for the global broadcast. and the strain increases with each second that goes by. Second, the agent is aware that if he succeeds, it will be his only chance. There is no space for second chances, therefore he must proceed swiftly into the center of the station. The operative approaches the station covertly. His ship is hidden, and his arrival is seamless. He is aware of the security cameras already posted in every apartment. The station's patrols will be predictable because he walks quickly through the hallways, dodging guards and turning off cameras. Every action he takes is precisely calculated by the security systems. As he reaches the future, he is aware that the next few hours will decide humanity's fate and that there is no going back. He gets a sudden rush of adrenaline in the control room as the station he has been preparing for approaches, is calm before the storm, and as he gets to the control room, a handlot of extraterrestrial technicians are keeping an eye on the countdown, and the agent is aware that if he is found, the mission would be lost, yet he stays hidden as he enters. His every move a whisper. The broadcast is just a few seconds away from the metal floor. The entire galaxy will watch the execution on television. But Earth's last hope has arrived and the countdown is almost over. If only he could turn it off, the system would shut down with a simple switch flick. And the broadcast screen becomes black, signaling that the Council has silenced the agent. Cisco has been successful. Yet the battle for humanity's survival is still far from being over. The Council's choice to put human children to death wasn't made by chance. It wasn't only attributionary anyway. It was about setting an example of Earth that the Council had long observed, not about asserting dominance over a lesser species. Humanity is viewed as an obnoxious and disorderly species that has not progressed as quickly as the galactic powers. The purpose of execution was to demonstrate force and act as a message to anyone who would think about questioning their authority. Children selected for their youth and naivete were merely pawns in a larger scheme to undermine our spirit. The Council members who represent various extraterrestrial races sat together, each of them more detached and unconcerned for the children's well-being than before, and their discussions were casually disregarding human life as unimportant, with some people more eager than others to see the show unfold for them. It wasn't merely a death sentence. It was entertainment, an opportunity to demonstrate that people on Earth were only brittle, expendable beings. It appeared absurd that these kids, who were viewed as a representation of Earth's future, could encourage any kind of disobedience. Humans were just in the way back on Earth when the word of the scheduled executions reached Earth, and the galaxy had long since moved on. Struck severely, the government frantically tried to figure out how to react, and some politicians demanded swift military action, others for diplomatic purposes. But the reality was that humanity had little hope. The armies of the Galactic Council were enormous, and their technology was considerably superior than that of Earth. Conventional warfare was ineffective. The world was split. Many people accepted that they couldn't stop it, while others were enraged at the need to strike back, although knowing the chances were low because Earth's last hope was located in a Simpsy one-man. A member of the elite Special Forces unit on SAS Earth, with unmatched proficiency in survival and covert methods, he was the ideal choice for the riskiest operation conceivable. His objective was simple: infiltrate the heart, disable the broadcast, and save the youngsters before their lives are in danger at the Galactic Council's fortress. Take in the man without a face, who was only known to his superiors, name that would be forgotten if the mission didn't work out for him. This wasn't just a mission. It was a personal one. Wasn't merely defending the kids. He wasn't even defending the planet. Defending human dignity. If he failed, it would be obvious to the galaxy that mankind had no place there. The operative was aware that the mission's future preparation would be difficult. The stronghold of the Galactic Council was a fortress with rigorous fortifications. Even the smallest mistake would result in death. The Council's elite-led security procedures are almost impenetrable. The strength of humanity lay in its warriors and advanced weapons, which were much superior to any military force Earth could generate. In its capacity to modify the operative's improvisation-focused training on using every available space to his advantage, he studied and committed to memory the Council's base designs, noting every inch. He studied timing moves and escape routes, Every little detail was crucial to the mission's success. There was a tight deadline, and every second that went by, the kids were getting ready for the broadcast. Drove them closer to their terrible demise. Mistakes were inevitable. The concept was straightforward, but the operative's movements required exact calculation. Enter, interfere with the broadcast, and exit. But the mission would not be. The operative had little more than his training and cunning as he headed toward the galactic stronghold. With countless alien fleets encircling the Council station, deep within enemy territory, Earth's military was powerless to assist. Operative's ship was untraceable, and his only allies in hostile territory were speed and stealth. Although his entrance into the station was seamless and his presence was unnoticed, this was just the beginning. When he first arrived at the station, he was met with an unfamiliar environment that felt sterile, chilly, and depressing. Patrols were there to keep an eye on him while he went around every possible death trap. The operative was aware that their technology was always able to identify even the smallest abnormality. He would never be able to be observed. One misstep would end the endeavor. Was alone himself, and failure meant death for the kids as well as for him. The youngsters were being detained in a high-security cell within the station for Earth itself, and the council members were poised to watch, anticipating the time when they could broadcast their strength to the galaxy. Everything was set up, and the operator had started counting down to the execution. I knew the patrol schedules by heart, and he proceeded through the station with a calm, collected grace. The security mechanisms in place were designed to eliminate any possibility of error, to prevent any incursion, but the agent was prepared. Avoiding every surveillance camera, he drew near to the operations nerve center, the control room, and he knew that once he arrived, as he walked, the children could be released and the broadcast could be stopped. As he moved more into the station, the anxiety increased, the countdown went on, and the weight of as the assignment grew heavier, there was no time for doubt. Although he believed that his training had prepared him for this moment, nothing could have prepared him for the truth of what was at risk. If he failed, humanity would never be able to regain the discretionary. Operational movements were smooth, and his attention to detail and high-tech security were unwavering. Although systems were challenging to get over, he employed every tactic at his disposal. Arsenal uses every available piece of technology to keep one step ahead of the Meiju. The countdown clock for the station's defenses kept running, and the pressure increased with each second that went by. When he eventually arrived in the control room, after what seemed like a lifetime, his pulse accelerated as he went in without being seen, and the broadcast system was within range. The children would be overshadowed by the Council's dazzling display of power, with only a single button push and a flash of insight. Children would be spared, but he understood that a single soldier holding Earth's only chance was now only a breath away, that everything would be defined at this moment, and that the control room could not be returned. Passion stood in the shadows, observing the technicians, and there was only a faint hum from the station systems. Continue working, oblivious to the impending peril, as the main screen's countdown clock drew closer to each second. As he got closer to the execution, he looked around the chamber, taking in every aspect. It was strongly secured by advanced security systems, and there were only a few entrance points. He was aware that he just had one chance, and that any mistakes he made would cost the children's life. The entire mission would fall apart, and his top priority was to disable the key broadcast. If he was unable to prevent the execution from demonstrating to the galaxy that the mission would fail, the agent acted quickly, using the ferocious speed he had learned earlier in his career. In the absence of gaslights or other notifications, he took use of shadows while being cautious not to set off any of the security alarms. He felt the strain in the air as each step brought him closer to the center of the station's activities. The perimeter was being patrolled by guards, but they had no reason to suspect an intruder because he was still invisible. Meanwhile, the console's technology was totally preoccupied and oblivious to the danger the operational target posed. The broadcast signal was being routed across the galaxy via the terminal in front of him. One mistake here, and the schist came over the control panel, his fingers shaking from the weight of the whole plan that would fall apart. He had prepared for the impossible by training for this moment. But now that the time kept ticking, he realized how serious the issue was, and in that moment he moved quickly. He turned off the security system that was in charge of the terminal, causing the control room to become dark. The worker was ahead of schedule as the technician fumbled in perplexity. He swiftly turned off the broadcast equipment and stopped the feed that was showing the room's countdown. Fell silent again, and the agent realized that the execution was now his responsibility and not a show for the people. He wasn't finished. He needed to free the kids from their confinement before the council noticed that they were still there. Because of what had transpired, the station was now on high alert, and every second mattered. The agent was aware that the stakes had just increased and that a violation of their confidentiality would be inevitable. But apparently they were underserved. They had to act quickly because security and their retribution would be swift and vicious. He swiftly and precisely turned off the security cameras and unlocked the secret door to the prison. As he entered the children's holding chamber, he could see the terror and worry in their eyes at what was about to happen to them. But despite their terror, there was something more there that he hadn't anticipated. Despite their dire circumstances, the kids managed to maintain a semblance of resistance and were prepared to fight for their life. The endeavor was worth every risk the kids took because of their tenacity and refusal to submit to the aliens. The operator was shaken, but he spent no time in cutting through because his training had equipped him for situations like these. Releasing the children from the handcuffs and directing them to the escape route, the operative's heart raced as the station's sirens started to sound, indicating that the breach had been found. But he understood that every choice he made going forward may mean the difference between life and death, not just for the kids, but as he guided them down the hallways, for him and for Earth. The station was now completely under lockdown, and the council maintained focus. Nothing could have prepared the soldiers for this, but they were on high alert and had been anticipating it. The children believed the operative despite their fear, since he was a ghost among them. His every action was implicitly crucial to their existence because the exit was within reach. However, the operative could hear footsteps approaching. The troops from the council were drawing near. Kaerek had no time to waste, and each corridor appeared to bring more warriors and challenges. However, he forced his thoughts to function more quickly than before, and he made it this far, because he couldn't afford to fail now, that one man and a few kids held the key to humanity's future. The last stretch was the riskiest for those who refused to accept their fate. The operator was aware that they would be at liberty once they arrived at the hangar where his spacecraft was waiting, but getting back to the hangar, he was forced to take chances because it would be difficult to avoid the final wave of soldiers. Children were worn out and afraid, yet they blindly followed him because they had no other option but to have faith in him, wouldn't disappoint them. With one last surge of speed, the team arrived at the hangar, where the operative could see the ship. Its engines were running in the distance, preparing for takeoff, but the council soldiers were rapidly approaching. The firefight would start as soon as they arrived at the hangar doors. The operator realized it was now or never, so he gestured for the children to board the ship, and as they did, he readied himself for the troops' last battle. The operative's heart was racing in his chest, but his thoughts were clearly, this was it. He eliminated the first soldier with a quick, accurate blow. Then the others paused for a time, uncertain of how to respond to the circumstance. The operator had the advantage since he moved faster than they could because of that split second of uncertainty. The operative ran toward the final soldier, eliminating each threat with planned efficiency. The engines roared to life as the ship leaped inside and slammed the hatch shut as the ship exploded from the hangar, escaping the station. Earth's last hope had survived the fight. The council's plans had been foiled, the broadcast had been halted, and the children were safe. But the fight was far from over. The agent was aware that the galaxy had recently discovered that humanity wasn't going down without a fight. In order to communicate to the rest of the cosmos that Earth was weak, the Galactic Council formulated a decision. People who are fragile and whose future is unimportant would be executed live on television, not as punishment, but as a show of force. The Council was certain that humanity was too divided to resist. With Earth's military forces dispersed and governmental structures in disarray, the execution would be a moment of supreme uplift. The galaxy views shame as an affirmation of human inadequacy. The Council would view the kids chosen for their youth and innocence as mere pawns in a power struggle. They were instruments to weaken the spirit of Earth and perpetuate the notion that any threat to the people was more than simply a brutal show. It was intended to impose the Council's feudal supremacy, a reminder that the Galactic Council reigned with impunity, causing fear throughout the galaxy. Each member of the council from a different alien race concurred that these children's deaths would be the last evidence that humanity was powerless. Nothing could stop them. They were merely a transient, insignificant species with unrestricted power. Live broadcasting would reach millions, if not billions, of people around the galaxy. The youngsters were supposed to serve as a demonstration of what occurs when a weaker species dares to oppose those in charge of the stars, would be slain, and the announcement of the execution plan would be as much of a statement as an execution on Earth. Governments frantically tried to react to the bombshell, but it was too late. The Council's armies were, with their technology, which was considerably better than anything Earth had, and nations were split, uncertain about whether to get ready for conflict, look for diplomatic solutions, or just accept their lot in life. Earth had no intimation that the execution appeared to be a coordinated reaction with no strategy to oppose the galactic powerhouse that suddenly faced them. Unavoidable, leaving Earth's citizens to worry if this was the end. But one man, a member of the planet's elite SAS, refused to acknowledge the fact that his objective was to sneak inside the Galactic Council's fortress and halt the galaxy off. This effort was more than just saving a few kids. It was about broadcasting and saving the children's lives. The goal was to convey a message of opposition. If the Council was successful, Earth would be labeled as weak and its inhabitants unworthy of surviving if they were executed. This mission would be humanity's final attempt to demonstrate that humanity was capable of more than submission. The individual selected for the assignment was not like any other, having been schooled in all facets of stealth combat, and his reputation was based on his ability to survive in a world of shadows. Tasks that were impossible. But this time the Council's soldiers were different from anything Earth had encountered, and the strategy was just enter, turn off the broadcast, and release the kids. But nothing happened. Failure to complete the assignment would result in the loss of everything, including the children and the planet's future. The Council's fortress was well secured, so the Operative had just one opportunity. While their soldiers were elite, their technology was light years ahead, and their security was unmatched by anything Earth had ever seen. The Operative understood that his only advantage was his capacity to adjust to being ahead of Earth's most sophisticated systems. Employ Earth's inventiveness to outsmart and outmaneuver the adversary. He studied every square inch of the Council's stronghold by learning the escape routes, patrol routes, and security systems by heart. Timing was crucial, and Drew had to be precise on the day of the show. The children were already in the care of the prepared Galactic Council as the Operative's gaze grew closer. Every second that went by brought them closer to their fate, their public execution, and the pressure increased along with it. The troops of the Council had no pity, and if the broadcast went live, the weight of the mission failure was not an option. The operator understood that success would demand all of his abilities, and that one mistake may cause Earth to never recover. Eli cost everything, and the strain in the air was evident on Earth countries as the countdown to the execution started. Unable to organize a coordinated defense, and kept fighting among themselves. Some commanders demanded quick, others concentrated on negotiating. But they all knew in their hearts that Earth could not defeat the Cosmic Council and withstand the execution. It appeared that they would proceed, and the operator, Earth's last hope, was ready to travel alone in enemy territory, even if Earth's doom was already sealed. Only he, with his training, abilities, and determination, could prevent the execution. His only weapons would be to battle for Earth's survival. The Council possessed a large army, but he was unrelenting, running out, and as each second went by the kids got closer to passing away. The Operative realized that if he did not enter the Council station, there would be no going back once you entered the Council station. From now on, it would be crucial, because the task was both necessary and risky. Fleets of alien spacecraft encircled the Council fortress, and the Operatives could hardly breach their defenses. Although there was little possibility of success, the stakes were too great for failure. If he did nothing, Earth would fall. There was a remote possibility of saving the kids and demonstrating that humanity was more valuable than its adversaries had thought. The Operative had no time to squander and came up with a straightforward but lethal plan. Infiltrate, turn off the broadcast, and take the kids with him. There could be no space for errors, therefore every step had to be flawless. One man was all that was needed for Earth to demonstrate that its spirit could not be crushed by the might of the stars. Although the escape was finished, the youngsters had only just started to suffer from the mission's after effects, as representations of Earth's powerlessness were now tangible evidence that humanity could oppose the authority of the Galactic Council. They're more than a rescue. Survival was a statement that Earth was not as helpless as the Council had thought. Despite being successful in his mission, the Operator was aware that the battle was far from over, and the Galactic Council was humiliated on retail, with continuous invasions unforeseen and countless lives lost in the total failure. Retaliation was unavoidable because a galactic stage would not take this lightly. The Council's first reaction was one of indignation that their well-prepared program had been ruined. Their dominance had vanished, and authority was challenged in a way they had never expected in generations. Without question, this one act of rebellion, carried out by a single agent, had sent the Council met right away to discuss their next course of action after shockwaves shook the galaxy. Some advocated in favor of swift and furious reprisal against Earth, while some who were cautious of intensifying the fight suggested the measures. The Council was split on how to react to a species for the first time in generations. The rescue sparked a wave of hope that they had before rejected as unimportant on Earth. Tenacity, the triumphant mission turned into a call to unity, and the kids who were once supposed to be emblems of governments previously transformed Earth's defeat into tangible examples of its tenacity. Divided and shattered, they started to band together and get ready for what was ahead. Research on technology that could defeat the Council's superior military weapons was expedited by scientists. Despite still being greatly outmatched, troops began preparing for a new kind of battle that was centered on strategy and expertise. Instead of using only firepower, the Operative's ingenuity provided humanity with what it really needed: time for the Operator, but the accomplishment of the mission was not celebrated. Come at a price. The weight of his actions and what they stood for was heavy. Had disobeyed the galaxy's most powerful force. Yet, he was aware that the Council would pay a heavy price for his actions, would not forget, and their subsequent course of action would be to brutally dispatch the agent after an anonymous soldier following out orders has evolved into a figure of resistance whose presence alone was sufficient to cause the Galactic Council to become enraged and afraid. As the galaxy observed the dynamics of power start to change, other long suppressed by the Council's power, species began to pay attention. If what else could be conceivable if humanity, a race viewed as weak and primitive, could defy the Council and prevail? Little acts of disobedience started to circulate among the stars, started to appear in far-off regions of the galaxy after being encouraged by Earth's prosperity. Despite its strength, the Council now had to confront the disturbing truth that its hold on power was not as firm as they had thought. The agent was conscious of the mission's wider ramifications. He was ready for what was coming, since he understood that the rescue was just the start of an empire. The Galactic Council would come back. The Galactic Council would come back more resilient and resolute than before the next. The Galactic Council would be more determined than ever to win the war. Instead of being a clandestine effort, the struggle would be an open one that Earth could not win without coalitions. And despite being silent, the Operator was already making plans for the next move. Although saving lives had been his goal, he now had to make sure that humanity's resistance would not just destroy him, but shut off all access to the Rockies within the galaxy. As Earth started to reestablish its defenses, the children now managed to survive but thrive. Safe became emblems of a new age, and their tales united people all throughout the world. People in a level never seen before, and divisions that had previously been insurmountable started to disappear as humanity united behind a common goal. The agent stayed hidden, with just a few people knowing who he was. His efforts were not yet complete. The struggle to save humanity had only just begun. Rebounding from their humiliation, the Galactic Council mobilized their armies because they could not afford to allow this to happen. Plans for revenge were created, but questions were raised because the act of defiance went unpunished. The Confederates remained among the Council members, with some wondering if Earth's resistance could serve as the catalyst for a pandemic. A greater rebellion, some contended that in order to preserve order and the Council's unity, humanity ought to be destroyed. In the middle of this chaos, humanity stood at the edge of an unbreakable barrier that now displayed flaws. They had a chance thanks to the operation's success, but the future was unclear. Because of the Galactic Council's Earth's existence hinged on more than simply the courage it took, because its resources and military might were unparalleled. Innovation in plan and the ability to persevere through the Operative's future. Every vigilant waited for the Council to retaliate against the rescue mission that was overmarked. The start of a bigger conflict. The Galactic Council had previously undervalued humanity, and they would not make the children's survival and the bravery of the prepared operators to avoid making the same mistake twice. Ready for the next battle. The struggle for their lives had changed from a desperate moment to a war of human determination. Humanity was prepared to confront the stars. As challengers, the agent who remained anonymous and unidentified rose to fame because of his acts, which were not only about saving lives, but also about kindling a flame that could alter the path of history. Despite its immense authority, the Galactic Council had demonstrated that an empire might be upended by even the tiniest act of disobedience. The tale of humanity had shifted from one of survival to one of resistance. The struggle was far from over, but the lesson was. It was obvious that Earth would fight its way down and that the galaxy would never be the same.